There we go. All right.
Record
It's
to this
recording.
computer.
Recording in progress.
And I'd like to say welcome everybody to the July edition of the Tips and Tricks SIG. And our typical format will be all a big open forum with, we start out open forum and then we go into selected topics that I've sent out to the group that we can go through and filter through and conclude with any last minute things that people want to bring up. So to start out the evening, I'd like to ask, does anyone have any questions they'd like to propose to the group? Anyone have any computer problems?
Yeah.
Yes.
I got a bunch
The
of them.
computer.
Jane, go ahead, Jane. We don't want to hear Tim's.
Oh, no, it's a joke.
It's a
Okay.
joke. Okay, I like
Not
jokes.
mine.
All right, Tim, you said you had a computer problem. You were talking about a computer that refuses to go in safe mode.
That's right. It won't. There's something missing from the whole Windows installation configuration that's required, and you can't upgrade it either because of the missing feature. And I've gone into some things that almost nobody would touch with a 10-foot pole, and I had to figure out how to put in some instructions, but it still won't work.
What version of Windows 10 is this working? And I'm not talking about like 21H2 blah blah blah. Is this professional, home?
Oh, this is Pro. It's most of mine are Pro, but I do have a few home.
All right, so this is a Pro box.
Yeah, and it's version 20H2. And I wanted to
20H2.
upgrade it to 21H2.
You're still at 20H2.
On that one, yes, because I run two different versions. I always keep one behind the other. So I've got a second installation that's 21H1. So I was going to upgrade the oldest to 21H2, and then eventually the 21H1 would be upgraded to 22H2.
Okay, so let's circle back.
Okay.
That's one that's not working. Will not upgrade. Will not go in the safe mode. I asked this question without knowing the answer. Is there something in Windows Professional that prevents you from going into safe mode?
Apparently, I have to say yes.
Okay.
That's based upon the feedback I get when it fails to upgrade. And it says that it cannot enter during the reboot process OS safe, meaning like a temporary safe mode. And as an end result, it will back out the attempted upgrade, and you're back where you were before you started.
All right. Now you're also a tech in that Microsoft tech thing. Did you search around in Microsoft's website for a solution?
I've looked all over God's little green earth, and I've come up with some nifties that nobody would touch with a 10-foot pole because I could wipe out what I have.
Okay.
But I have backup, so I can restore the backup.
All right. Can you reinstall Windows on top of itself?
No. That's the only way I can do it. I was trying to do
In place
an
upgrade.
update from running Windows, and that's where it fails. It goes through the entire motion, and then it does the restart to try and do the 30% configuration. Then it reboots again to try and go beyond that to 100%. And all you end up with is logging back in and a nice message saying I can't do it because of OS safe. And I get an error code message, but I don't remember what it is for sure off the top of my head.
Can you search OS safe and see if it gives you any specific conditions that you might look for?
Yeah, but not real clearly. Basically, there's a hidden folder normally out there, but I think where the problem's coming in is that there's special keys within Windows and Microsoft software. And if the keys don't match up, then it doesn't work. And I think that's where I'm at right now. I've done everything else under the sun. The bad part is I can't tell the key for that hidden folder versus the key I have in a configuration file. If I could tell the two, I know how to modify the key so that it would probably work correctly. It's this is a Jim Dandy. This is not the average stuff. This is editing the BCD directly.
Okay. So I did ask the question, and you basically said no, you can't. But what would happen if you took a Windows installation disk and told it to install?
Well, I've got that only mine's on USB stick, but in general, it would be a very difficult process on that particular one because I have dual drives. I'd probably have to turn off, well, I'd have to disconnect one of the drives before attempting it. And then I might be able to succeed in doing that. That's my only out at the moment. I've been playing
Wait,
with this.
just a minute, Tim. When you're doing this upgrade, do you have USB external devices attached?
Nope.
So you've detached all USB external devices and
Yep.
all external drives and all secondary internal drives?
Yep.
Okay,
These
because
these
those are known issues.
both are SATA SSDs.
Can you detach one and leave only the system drive attached?
I'll be honest, at the moment, I haven't tried it, but it is in the back of my mind as probably the only other option I've got.
Yeah.
Because
'Cause
right
I'm-
now, since I cannot upgrade internally, like I sometimes do, I'm
Yeah.
going to have to try and do the external one because nothing else is making any sense.
Yeah. I'm
It's-
thinking the in-place upgrade may not work for you.
It might not. I might have to blow the whole installation away, do a clean install, and rebuild the whole thing. But it's not a production OS. It's a test bed OS. I tried different things out on that I'm not going to do on a production system
Yeah.
until I feel comfortable that everything's going to work.
Okay, so salvaging all the data off of it really wouldn't be a big deal.
I don't even know if there's any data on there to begin with. It's mostly just the OS and various programs I normally run to test things out with.
And you know what those programs are and you know how to install them.
Well, unfortunately, yes.
And they aren't like something where you just do nine-night and you're done.
No, not by any stretch of the imagination. But I will mention, and I picked this up at another Zoom meeting, a little tidbit, a piece of software that will update as good or better than Night Night. It has more software selection, and it's called Patch My PC.
Patch my PC.
And it works quite great. There's only a couple programs that it doesn't seem to touch and update, so I have to do those through other programs, whether it's Night Night, File Puma, File Hippo, or something like that, or Major Geeks. Those are the majority of what I use, but patchmypc.com for the individual. You have what I do is I just download it into the download folder. I leave it there. It's a standalone executable. What you do is you right click on it, create a shortcut, put that on your desktop, and if you do have a proper setup of an administrator account and a user account, from the administrator's account, you can create a second shortcut and move that into the user folder under C for your standard account on the desktop, and stick that in there so that you can run the Patch My PC one executable from either the administrator's account or from the standard account. The standard account, you'll have to give the administrator's password, of course.
Yeah.
But it works just fine, and you can, and it updates globally, so it doesn't matter which account you do the update from.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if worst comes to worst, you do have an option of doing a format and reinstall.
At the moment, that is looking more and more like my only option.
Okay.
Not a bad
I'm
option.
trying to work around that.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
So
Well, I mean,
if I may, I started out asking that can you do a reinstall of Windows 10 on top of itself? And you basically said, no, you can't.
No.
But what would happen if you did? In the old days of Windows 7, I think actually an XP wouldn't it load it up right over itself, or it would make a separate folder. It would give you the option of making a backup and then doing a new install or on top of it. So what would happen on Windows 10 if you reinstalled the operating system?
okay, there are two ways of doing it. It's called an in-place or reset installation. If the system is up and running, you stick in your media, whether it's a DVD or a USB stick, go in File Explorer to that drive. You will see a setup file. You double click that, and it does it from within the running OS to upgrade it. On the other hand, when that should fail, then you have to boot the computer off of that installation media, and then you go into install, not upgrade. You have to point to the partition that has the OS, and if there isn't an additional problem, it will go ahead and do an in-place upgrade.
So
But
you can do it.
no, I said I don't think I can do it at the moment because I
No,
have
not you,
two.
but I meant in principle, anybody here, could be able to do a reinstall of Windows 10 on top of itself.
Be careful. Remember, I said earlier on, I've got two drives, and each one has a Windows OS 10 Pro on it. And so I would have to disconnect one of the drives and hope the other one boots up so that I can do it that way.
Okay, but your situation is unique.
Yes,
What is the rest of us going to have? Most of us,
right.
pretty much everybody except maybe Bob, will only have one operating system on their computer, one hard drive on their computer internally. Generally, maybe somebody has a data drive, they might have a small SSD and a data drive.
Right,
That being said, they still can do it.
right.
So you can do an in-place reinstall of Windows on top of each other. And my question is, will it eliminate your programs that you already have installed on the system, or will it leave them intact?
Third party, it will generally.
Generally,
Well,
it'll leave them in.
I'll tell you.
It will get rid of them.
No, I've had success most of the time. It'll keep it if I do either one of the updates or have the option not to keep the stuff. But I have had one instance where I said keep everything, and everything but the OS was gone.
Okay.
And that's the other little problem you can run into when you're doing the external boot up and trying to install to that OS partition. If there's certain problems, it won't even allow you to do it. You will not be able to proceed until you correct whatever the problem happens
Okay.
to be.
I'm trying to make this simple
I
for
understand, but I'm
there
just
are
telling you.
there always is going to be, unique situations that will rise on everybody's situation. But I just wanted to kind of make a
Uh,
simple, yes, you can. You may want to look out for some of these things that could happen, but this is an accepted practice when all else fails.
Yeah, and
I've been doing this.
both
I've been
both
doing
be
this for years. Even at Westside years ago, there was a woman that came in with a screwed up system, and right there at the Westside, I did an in-place upgrade for her and got her whole system working.
Right. Bob?
yeah, both before and after, you may need to run an extended check disk
Okay.
just to make sure that the file system is okay and to make sure that the disk is okay.
Got it. Okay.
I presume Tim's already done all that.
Yeah, a lot of times you have to run SFC slash scan now because sometimes you have corruption in the key files that boot up your Windows system, and until that's corrected, you ain't doing anything.
And there's one other thing you can do if you use something like Macrium Reflect and you have a backup of whatever version, either the previous or the current. You can do just a boot repair from that backup.
Yes,
Macrium
but
Reflect Free will allow you to try that.
yeah, but the boot correction doesn't seem to correct this particular issue because that was one of the first things I went through.
Of
Did I
course.
spell that right? SFC split
Yeah,
Slash scan
SFC
now.
scan
space
now.
slash
Um,
scan now.
Very good. Very
right.
good.
And this is a tool that anybody here can use at any time in which they think there might be a problem. This is going to be a system file checker. It's part of Windows. It's safe to use, so to speak. There can be ramifications, but generally this will fix problems. So it's a good tool to have at your arsenal or written down on the desktop if you have a problem.
Yeah,
So you would go and you'd have to run a command prompt
right,
in administrative mode.
right.
So you go down to the start bar and you type CMD.
Well, you can do the PowerShell if your is set to PowerShell.
Okay, I'm
Works
just
the
kind
same
of,
way.
you go to command, you type command CMD, and then it'll ask you if you want to run this as administrator, and you say yes, run as administrator. It'll bring up the old C prompt, the old DOS C prompt, and that's where you type in this text that I just sent out to everybody, so you can know how to do that.
And there's
Okay.
one more thing,
Oh yes,
DISM.
DISM. Okay.
Well, that one
That's a PowerShell tool too.
I only use the DISM if SFC found corruption. If
Right.
it didn't find corruption, I don't bother with it.
Sometimes I've found that even if SFC scan now shows up pretty clean, DISM will still find a couple of things.
Well, I've had excellent luck where it didn't when I did run it, but that DISM that's a lot more involved, and there's even a secondary one that is real good that you only run like 2 to 4 times a year. Cleans up
Yeah.
a lot of crap that
Okay,
accumulates.
so if you ran DISM, maybe since you brought that up, Bob, why
Yes.
don't you elaborate a little bit on what DISM does? Because this is not one that I would use all the time.
No. Just in this rare instance where we're having problems that SFC scan now doesn't fix, I referenced an article, and here's basically what it says. If Windows 10 has missing or corrupted files, the guide shows you how to repair the setup using DISM and also the SFC commands.
Okay.
DISM is the Deployment Image Servicing and Management tool. It's a command line tool, and it allows your administrator account to prepare or modify and repair system images, including the Windows recovery environment, which is where this is working on, the Windows setup, or what is now called WinRE, but it used to be WinPE, which is the pre-install environment. But you can also use it with the local recovery image to fix system problems, and that's what we're doing.
All right.
First-
So there's a lot of options over here.
Yeah.
As you see, I have brought up a command prompt that's showing what the options are. I typed in, if everyone wants to follow, I typed in DISM, and without giving any options, this is what it's yielded to me. So what option should we be looking at?
All right.
I'm putting in chat some stuff.
Yes. Okay. We aren't going to be doing any of these top ones because that works on a system image.
Okay.
However, the ones that the article says you focus on are DISM online cleanup image. Cleanup image is what we're doing.
Right.
And there's one option called check health. There's an option called scan health.
Targets the running. This is really complicated here.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's basically it's the ones that have to do with cleanup image and something health. You'll scan, you'll check, and you'll restore health. And it's the restore health that actually does something.
Okay. I don't see those talked about on this.
Scroll down, it'll be down there somewhere.
You see
Maybe
restore health? I don't see restore health. I'm going here.
DISM online.
I saw
and then the parameters have to do with restore health, check health, etc. So it's some of the online functions.
Okay, let's see what.
And
you got to have an internet connection.
If you have an internet connection, you'll be able to do that.
Right. No internet connection. You have to have bootable media, and you have to use a parameter for the source it checks against.
Okay, we're going to get out of this one because
it's technical, but it's there.
This is really more technical than Jane is going to do tonight.
Right. You're right.
Of course.
She might think about doing this when she's sleeping.
If you check the chat, I put in the basic commands.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have the commands, and those who need it can do it, and you'll know if you need it.
Well, the last one only runs a few times a year. Every time you do updates to Windows and upgrades, you're collecting a lot of lint, as it were, in the subfile of WinSXS, and it accumulates all the old files that were replaced by the new upgrade files or update files, and it keeps mushrooming your installation. So that last command will clean out a lot of that junk that's just accumulating and useless to your system's operation.
Wait, which one will clean up that junk?
Down the last two blurbs I've got out there.
You mean the DISM online cleanup image?
That's true. That's a common statement. It's right below it, the next part of the line. That's all one line, one command. that last
Start
box.
components, clean up, reset base.
Yeah.
Ooh, boy. Okay. And tell me, if I did that one, what is the ramifications? So what could happen to my system?
Well, that depends on whether you've ever done a backup.
That's not what that's not what I'm getting at. What will
I've
happen?
never had it fail.
Well, but
So I can't
well,
answer
then
your
what does it
question.
do? What's it going to do besides
It's
clean up?
taken out the old files Windows left behind on every update and every upgrade you've ever applied to the OS. And that's why your OS partition keeps expanding even if you don't add files or programs to your system.
Okay, I like that.
Okay,
So,
now how does this compare with the storage sense cleanup that cleans up the old Windows Update files from the temporary files?
There's different stuff. This is the actual stuff installed and used out of Windows SXS, which
Okay.
the Sense does not do. It does
All right.
temporary files. All the files you downloaded are left sitting out there, so you can back them out if you want to. Say you got a bad update, you figured out which one it was, you can say uninstall it. Well, it'll uninstall it as long as you've got that update file out there. But
Yeah.
when you run the storage sense and it blows it away, you're stuck.
Yeah. So that Windows Update cleanup is a different function.
Yes.
But eventually, you may want to clean some of that because you'll find there's several gigabytes.
Yes, on at least a monthly basis. Yes.
all right, we're going to illustrate that one. That one I can easily do. So,
Storage sense.
yeah, well, I don't know about storage sense. I'm not talking storage sense. Who's sensing my storage? I'm not sure. Sorry.
It's the old disk cleanup, but it's been restyled.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank goodness.
The old disk cleanup, I liked the granularity of it, but a lot of people don't.
Okay, so I'm going to bear with me. We're going to share the screen. Share this.
I wasn't expecting to go this route tonight.
All right,
But
so we're going to share a screen, and here's my Windows C drive. And we're going to go down to, I'm not going to do anything right here, but I want to show what we're talking about. Here's a folder in the Windows folder. Everyone can see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's this one folder called WinSXS. And I'm
Windows side by side.
That's right, Windows side by side. And you may or may not see I'm doing a Windows property of that folder to see how big this is. I don't know if that's counted. Can you guys see that or no?
no.
It's going to run for a while, and we're not seeing anything.
Right.
Okay. All right. Let's make sure I'm sharing that screen.
File folders don't show their size in Explorer.
Okay. So it is 7 gigs.
Right.
7 gigs, and I've had this box for less than a year. For about 10 months now, this laptop. So we're back to this folder, and it's got a lot of junk in there. Stuff from when it was originally installed. I'm not deleting anything. I'm just illustrating what's here.
I know.
So everyone can see it's got a lot of stuff. It's got 14,000 stuff in there.
Yeah.
And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up to the C drive, going to right click, and I don't know, you said properties won't show up, right?
You'll probably want to do it as in your search, just do storage, and first item or two will be the storage sense. We used to type disk cleanup.
Okay, wait, how do I get to what you're saying, storage sense?
Go to your search box in Windows 10, and in the search box,
your settings,
just the ordinary where it says type here to search down in your task.
Type here to search.
No, taskbar. It says type here to search.
What am
And
I
you start typing storage.
STORAGE, storage settings.
Yeah, that's the one. You go in there, and
All
it'll
right.
take you to a settings screen,
All
which
right.
we may or may not see.
Are you guys seeing what I'm showing here?
No.
No.
No,
All
no.
Still
right.
got File
Bear with
Explorer.
me. Let
Share
me
your entire desktop, and we might.
share my entire desktop. Let's see. I got this going right here. Share. All right.
Yeah. Okay,
That's-
now we're in there.
Yep, that's storage sense.
All right. Storage
Normally
sense.
that's off, but you have to either turn it on, or in some systems it might automatically be set on from the manufacturer.
Yeah. I have had systems with either that it was or wasn't set.
Right.
But we're basically looking for temporary files because you don't want to get rid of music, apps and features, or anything from your desktop.
Okay.
And you don't want to get rid of your downloads folder either, which is part of your temporary files.
And there's also an other category which you may not want to do without knowing what the other is. And I think if you click on each one independently, it gives you a sense of what it's looking at, if I remember
Yeah.
right.
Okay. So one of the things we want to tell the people in the group is that turning on this feature here is not a bad thing, correct?
Right. And
All right.
Generally not, except it can delete recent downloads.
Okay.
Or actually downloads over 30 days. It can delete.
If nothing's been done with them, it may delete them for you.
Even if something has been done, if it was downloaded more than 30 days ago, it's at risk.
Okay. All right. So there's a caveat there of downloading something and it just sitting there and it may decide to delete it. But otherwise, if you want to save space, you could turn this feature on, and we'll go over here to configure storage sense. And it says you changed the window, did it not? Everybody see
Yeah,
this?
it did.
Okay.
Yes.
And so we have storage senses on during low free space. I could also have it run what? Every month?
You can
Every
change anything there. I mean,
Okay.
if you want to run a daily, that's fine, but that would be like somebody that's very, very like a power user. They're doing so much stuff every day. They're creating all kinds of files, so they might want to clean up daily, but otherwise, weekly or monthly is more than adequate.
Okay. And here you could tell it to delete temporary files,
Right.
files that are in the recycle bin that are over 30 days old, delete files from my downloader folder that I haven't opened in more than, okay, now this addresses what Bob had said.
Right.
Yeah.
I have mine set to never delete anything I put in my downloads folder.
Right.
Right. But by default, it could be set to 1, 14, 30, or 60 days. So, and then of course I could tell it to clean up disk space right now. Is this different than doing a disk cleanup?
It is. And if you switch storage sense off, then instead of automatically selecting for you, you get to select, which is
Okay.
much more like disk cleanup.
Okay. All right. So, and then you could tell it to go ahead and do that right now, clean up some space on my hard drive.
Yeah, but if you do that, you might lose your Zoom connection.
Yeah, and I'm not going to do that right now. So,
Yeah, and all you had to do to get to this is go to the Start button, Settings, Systems, and then Storage Sense.
okay. Or you can do like Bob said, just type in storage.
Into the search.
Okay, in the search. I like quick and easy.
The taskbar search.
Right.
That's
All right.
my go-to way to get almost anywhere these days in Windows.
And I'll stop sharing this one. And okay, cool.
Storage
Yeah,
sense.
that was good. Let's go on to a new question, new direction.
Yeah, very new.
Nothing.
Well, yeah, how
Oh,
about,
Bill?
but let him go first.
Okay, Terry?
you were how do you watch TV on your PC? How that's interesting.
How do you watch TV on your PC? Are we going through the topics right now?
Yeah, you're down on the bottom topics.
We're not there yet. We're not on
Oh, I'm
topics.
sorry. All right.
Okay, all right. Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quickie. Last month you talked about using the random screensaver.
Yeah,
So I looked that up. I tried to download it. I downloaded it more than once. And when I download it, it gives me an error message.
okay.
And says something about press the button B or something. It will run, but I can't do anything in settings.
Okay.
So every time I want to change the folders I want to look at, I have to reinstall it or re-download it.
I believe there may be two versions out there of that particular product, and one is newer than the other. I'm running the older version. Some reason it seems like 4.12 or something sticks in my head, but I could be totally wrong. Bill, I should have that file, and I may be able to just email it to you directly.
That'd be great.
I think that could be the problem because I know I looked for an upgrade on that product, and when I did, it didn't work. The upgrade did not work. And I think that's exactly what you ran into, is you downloaded a more current version and it's broken. I think it is because it's freeware, it's open software.
Yeah, right.
And the freeware one I'm sorry, the more newer version does not seem to work. The older version did.
In
So
some of that kind of software, I will say that usually what they do is they sense the old installation, and they say they have to uninstall it before they install the new version.
right, right. But that may not be this case. You can download the newer version. And if I could go and look for it. What is that? Random.
Yeah, we've got version 4.5.11 seems to be the one they're pushing now.
Yeah. Let's see.
And there's also an indication that it's donationware, which means you don't have to pay for it.
4.5.11 is one of them. And so if you guys want to wait, I can find out which one I'm running, or if no one else is interested, I'll send it directly to Bill.
And the problem that you might be running into is it requires .NET Framework
Yes.
4.7.2,
And
which is an upgrade. That's an upgrade.
And you got to make sure you get and this also has to do with which install you go with, because a newer install, if I recall, loads in a version of .NET that doesn't work.
They just upgraded it in 2020 to 4.7.2, and that I believe is obsolete now.
Right. So, Bill, I'll get you the right version.
Yeah, you lost me on that .NET framework.
Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
.NET Framework is a Windows component which has to be compatible with your version of Windows. And if you already are past this version of .NET Framework, and I think most of us are, then the older version may contain stuff that won't run under the newer version.
Yeah.
Is that a separate download, or does that come in with Windows?
It's a Windows component, but it's optional.
Yeah, it's an optional one, and think of .NET as common code resource for all your Windows running programs. So instead of having the code within each program directly, they have this common code area called .NET, and it pulls out routines as needed for your running program.
Okay, I am running 4.5. It doesn't tell me. That's what it says here. version RPS 4.5, but I think it is 4.5 dot blah, blah, blah.
It would be.
Yeah, and I don't know. Okay, I told it to ignore latest update 4.5.11. So do not load that one in. So I'm running a version before that, if that helped.
Can you email me that file?
I will absolutely email it to you.
Anytime, no hurry.
Yeah, okay. Let me just, you see me standing here in a little mousy thing and I'm getting things running. Okay, and I'll go back to this later on and I'll email you the one I'm using. Works very good. Works great for me.
Yeah, it works fine, except I
Actually,
can't choose the folders.
In my case, I was able to choose the folder across my network. Wants to look locally, but you can direct it somewhere else too, and which is what I'm doing. I'm directing it specifically to my server, and it's able to handle the 149,000 photos that I have on my server. I kid you not. That's what it says I got on there. What can I say?
How many years does it take before you see all 149,000?
Unluckily, it doesn't sequentially go through everything because the name of the program is random. So it randomly goes through, and often you see the same photos pop up
Yep.
throughout a week. And I don't think to this day it's ever gone through my entire collection. Never. Because if I ever start it, it would restart from the beginning. And I often, you get updates in, it's running Windows 10, it gets updates in, it reboots overnight and just restarts automatically because I have it come up in the startup area. So it automatically restarts. And so I'll never know how many times it's restarted. And it would have restarted from the beginning, and I'd always be somewhere in the B's or G's or something like that, or whatever year that I chose. But it does do a very decent job at handling what I want it to do.
Yep, I agree.
Okay.
As an aside issue, I'm done copying all my audio tapes
Yeah.
with that little cassette thing I showed you last month.
And how well that worked for
It
you?
worked really well. Copied them right onto the USB, I loaded it onto my PC, changed the file names to match the year and the event, and I'm done.
Nice. That's really nice. That's a good thing. So you're happy with that device that you chose?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There was another question somewhere else. Anyone else have questions or comments or? No.
I do have
Yes.
one comment following that up.
Bill?
When I copied all my old photos and then also those audio files. And so I put them on a USB and then I put them on my computer. And then I wanted to make a DVD for the kids of all of that stuff. And what I found was that the video folder it wasn't videos, it was pictures. The picture folder was so large that I exceeded the maximum number of files that I could have in an individual folder. So there was still room on the DVD, but it wouldn't copy the remaining pictures into that same folder. So by naming it Picture Folder 2, I was able to copy the rest of the pictures into the second folder, and I got it all on the DVD. If anybody runs into that, I know we talked about that a little bit last month. That's what I ran into. It wouldn't copy all of the picture files that I had into one folder. And it was like 3,600 pictures, something like that.
Is the names of them like image underscore 1234, or is it John Doe at Freedom Rock?
Oh, now you got me.
File name?
No, I don't remember. I always start out with the year. And I don't remember offhand. Hang on a second, I can look.
I guess I'm asking, is the file names an issue?
Yeah, I don't know that. and I can't look very easily here. Let me see. Well, I'd have to put the drum drive in
Okay.
to look. So you go ahead and talk and I'll look.
Yeah. Anyone experienced anything like this before? A DVD has a limitation on number of files it could take?
I think there was, but God, I couldn't begin to remember what it was.
And
I stopped using that long ago.
Bill, is this um, just like you're copying the files over and then you have a program that runs on the disk that knows to pull up files?
I was just copying them off of the C drive onto a DVD drive.
Okay, so the individual files are there.
Yeah,
It's not rendering a DVD formatted file.
no.
Okay, which are illustrated as a VOB.
These are almost all JPEGs,
Okay,
and they just have I never actually named them. I just have them in a year folder because it would have taken me forever to name them all. I may do that someday, but right now it's like the year 2022, which is when I copied it, and then it's 306, 17, 28, 39, 001, 002, etc.
okay, that's not bad
Oh,
of a file name.
yeah,
I was looking more like that you would have the spelled out version naming of what a photo is. You know, John Doe at the coast, at the California coast. You know,
I did that for all my genealogy stuff, but for these photos, just going back to 1967, I did not go on and rename them. I just
okay,
got them in here because what I used to do this, Sanford, was that scanner that you and I have.
okay, the Fujitsu scanner, got
Yeah,
it.
yep. And I just never named them.
Okay, and I think by default it comes up with a date-based naming structure, and then it puts a couple of numbers after it.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah, offhand, I don't, I haven't looked it up, but I do remember, and I think it's on a per folder basis for a long time. There's a max number of files that can be contained within a folder. Well, if you're on a DVD, no folder structure, it still may treat it as a folder with the same limitation.
Well, apparently that's what it did because it stopped at the year 20. What was it?
What's your guess on the number of files?
Well, I was over 3,600. So maybe around 4,000.
Okay. Well, I'm just speculating what it might have been, but I do remember somewhere along the line there were some restrictions on the number of files Windows could handle, but I don't remember the circumstances or quantity.
Okay, well, all I know is I had 1 gig on a 4 gig DVD and it wouldn't copy anymore until I created another folder and then it copied the rest of them just fine.
Well, that's probably what it is. You hit the folder boundary.
Yep. Okay, just
I
information.
remember it, but and it may have changed over time. At one time, the number of files was smaller than what I think they are in 10 or 11. But in general, uh, it's keeping track of something, and I don't remember what it was. And that's where the limitation comes in. When it uses up all of what it needs to track, you're out of luck. And you have,
There's some kind of a table that contains the file names.
yeah, I think it's
And
MFT if I remember right.
yeah, it could be MFT. But anyway, the table has a limited capacity of a certain number of names or a certain number of bytes.
Yeah, and I think probably what you need to do, Bill, and it may not be what you wanted to do, is you have to create a bunch of folders with a certain quantity in each and get around the problem where you've got it all backed up on the DVD, but not necessarily as one contiguous file per se.
That's what I did. It worked fine.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's the MFT that the limiting factor.
Mhm. MFT.
But boy, are we getting techie tonight? Sheesh.
Yes, we are. Okay. Next question. Oh, Jane, you were going to ask something.
No. I
Oh,
wasn't.
okay, because Bill was talking and you were talking at the same time. So I wanted to make sure I didn't lose you over here.
No, you didn't.
Anybody else have any last questions or comments? All right, so here's the question now that I got to ask. Who here has been buying stuff on Amazon Prime Day? Ah, okay, at least Pete's joining in. I guess Pete and I are the only two people that are keeping the economy going in this country, right? And,
And you keep it up, keep it up.
keep it up. That's right.
Small
Because
amount.
the small amount, Bill bought small amount.
Right.
I did find today I did go do some shopping. It wasn't that I was looking for any of these great deals that they were supposedly doing. They probably are, and I missed them all because I think they all happen overnight. Like probably between midnight and 6 a.m. is probably their best deals.
Yeah.
But by the time I got up, they're all ending.
Why didn't you
Yeah.
just stay up then?
Anyways, but what I did find is products that I've been watching that I've been wanting to buy, but they were just like at that edge of a little too expensive.
Yeah.
They did take off percentages off of almost everything today. And there was stuff that had been in my watch list that I wound up going and buy. Could be blades for my lawnmower or air filters for my car. I mean, things that you're going to be buying anyways. They did drop the price. One of the things I did order was, and I haven't gotten it, of course, is this wireless water alarm sensors that I'm going to be putting in my basement. And it came in a package of 4, and they knocked off another $10 off the package, which made it more reasonable. So this would be, for those of us that own a home, water alarms are a good thing to have. I have the old style ones that are mechanical, but I want Wi-Fi enabled ones now so that I'm ever not home and the thing goes off, I can panic. I can panic and go, oh my God, my alarms are going off. But what I have found happening is when, in this particular case, if you own a home, water is not good. Flooding water sitting someplace, seeping onto your carpet in the basement, definitely not a good thing, but it happens for who knows what reasons. And it's happened to me numerous times that I found water in my basement. So in the various houses that I've owned over the years. So that was one thing that I bought. What else did I buy? More memory for a computer. Something else I've been watching. They dropped the price on that. Got a little cheaper. Okay, those are some of the examples. Oh, what was that? Solution for my waterbed. Yes, I still have a waterbed and enjoy it every night I sleep on it.
Oh.
I mean, those are like, that
Oh.
lawnmower blades, stuff for your waterbed, stuff for your car. It's, things that you generally need anyways, right? That I'll be ordering. Might be fish food, might be the next thing I'll get. So, Pete, what did you buy?
So far, we bought something I needed for a class I'm teaching to a grammar school,
Okay.
and a set of New Balance shoes for me.
Geez, something you need.
Yeah, and the thing is, some of the stuff I've been looking at, they haven't dropped significantly over the normal sale price.
Right. And today it went down a little bit. right?
No, they haven't.
Oh, those,
I'm
that,
looking for a new good welding helmet, auto darkening,
okay.
and the Lincolns and the Millers aren't there at any significant savings. The stuff it looks like is all the knockoffs that aren't worth the crap at any price,
Okay.
because that's personal protective equipment.
Yeah.
And I don't want to screw around with knockoffs for personal protective equipment.
Right. Oh, I agree with you. You know, that glass that could be in there is inferior, and it, you know, if something hit it breaks and shatters into your eyes. A lot of good that did.
Or the damn thing doesn't darken when the arc goes on.
Right.
And
Okay.
I value my eyes way too much now that I can actually see.
Did you go get cataract surgery?
3 years ago, I'm 20/15 in one eye, 20/20 in the other.
Isn't that great, this cataract
Oh,
surgery?
yeah.
I tell you, I had it done too, and I was just blown away. I don't need glasses. I don't need contacts.
I have a pair of safety reading glasses
Okay.
on every desk and machine that I own, because I'm so you know, 60 years of sitting behind glasses. You're used to having glasses on your head, and you don't double think when you go to turn on a machine.
You're right.
You
Well,
don't.
good. That's a good thing. All right. Anyone else buy anything? Anyone gonna go on Amazon Prime and buy something?
I can say small,
Give me your
Bill,
money and
what was
I'll
small?
buy
Bill,
something.
really small.
what's small, Bill? What'd you?
I bought an external DVD drive for my laptop. And then I also bought a 5-pack of 64 gig USB sticks.
There you go.
Really don't need, but it was $20 for 5 of them.
Wow, $20 for 5. Holy geez, that's cheap.
Yeah,
How much was the DVD external?
I think I didn't get that on Amazon Prime, but I bought it about a week ago.
Oh,
So I paid $19.
Yeah, that's
So
about what it goes.
Yeah,
The highest I think I've ever seen is $25.
yeah. This was I think $19. But I'm interested in that water alarm, and I'm also interested in the car cabin filter. So I may go back and look.
yeah. Let's see if I can show you what. Let's see what I bought. Orders. And there's the water alarm. I'll show you the one that I identified. It got pretty good reviews, but it is the cheapest today that I've seen it in quite a while. They knocked off another $6 off of it. And I'll send that to you. I'll send it to everybody. Anyone wants to look at it. There you go. That's the water alarm I purchased today. Hopefully that won't bring you into my purchase.
It did not.
It
It
shouldn't.
took me to the website.
Okay, it took you. Okay, so that's the water leak detector. It's a Wi-Fi enabled. It's a 5-pack. I'm sorry. And it got pretty good reviews. You know, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4.5 stars out of 76 return things. And oh, don't forget to check the box for the extra $6 savings too
Okay.
when you do that. So that it's right now it's $59, and you can get another $6 off it. Makes it 53. That is absolutely the cheapest I've seen in 6 months.
What does your water alarm do?
What does it do? Well, they're a real basic device. I'm assuming these are the same thing. They have a little metal contact on the bottom of them, and you set them where you believe water may seep into your house, or where your let's say where your drain would be that will back up, or if you had a water softener where your water softener is, or your sub pump. You put it by where the sub pump well is. So if the sub pump sticks, or the pump doesn't work and the water starts coming out,
Yeah.
that's the alarm is going to get triggered, and then it'll make a piercing loud sound in the house, but it will also send a signal to your cell phone. That's what this does.
Yeah, also around your washing machine because water hoses do break.
Yep, water.
Your hot water heater, if you're still using that, versus the ones that are the instant heat.
Right.
You just set them on the floor, Sanford?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just set it right on the floor wherever you deem that the water is going to accumulate. You know, what was it? I think it was it was last year. Oh, it was just when COVID was starting out. I had a problem where my wife and I were sitting in the dining room table eating dinner, and she goes, "What's that sound?" And I go, "What sound?" And then she turned off the TV, and I could hear this wailing sound, but very faint. And sure enough, it was coming down in the basement. It was loud when you get down there, but it wasn't very loud upstairs. And when I went down, sure enough, one of my drains had clogged up, and the water softener, I'm sorry, the drain from the air conditioner was filling up the reservoir, and it was overflowing and not going down the pipe that's supposed to go into the drain. It was overflowing a tray and cascading down my furnace, wound up shorting out the board to my furnace.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, and Tim, you could reflect back to that.
Yeah.
Luckily, this was before COVID. Sanford was able to go online and find a board and buy it at a reasonable price and installed it myself. This was the main motherboard for my train furnace air conditioner,
Ooh.
my heating system. So, and I saved a boatload of money because I bought it before everything exploded. You know, I mean, price wise. So I took care of it all myself. So that's
Who sells these water alarm things?
well, did you see the link I just sent
No,
in the
he didn't
chat?
look.
Look in the chat. I sent a link to this particular one, but you can also find them at Home Depot. I believe Menards may sell them too.
Home Depot, okay, yeah.
And,
Lowe's may. I know Home Depot does. The ones that they sell at Home Depot and Lowe's are strictly an alarm. They're not connected to anything other than a battery, and those basically look like a size of a cigarette pack, and they sit on the floor, and they have a 9-volt battery attached to them, and if they detect water, they just signal, just like a smoke detector would. It'll just be a loud wailing sound.
and like a smoke detector, if it's got a battery, you got to check and replace the batteries once or twice a year.
Yeah, well, those are 9 volts. They last years.
Okay.
Literally years. But you do, Tim, you hit it just right. You absolutely do have to do your due diligence and check those things. So,
They're pretty much in standby, so like you say, they last years.
right, those last years, the 9-volt ones, because of the way they're designed, the device is designed, it doesn't use any juice unless the contacts get touched. Then you use a little juice. So. But I would tell you, if you own a home, you should have water detectors strategically placed throughout your house.
Yeah,
This particular one is one that I bought, and
get water in the crawl space, like a heavy rain. And,
yeah, well, there you go. And you'll want to know there's water coming in your crawl space.
Yeah.
You know, I would get one of these or a couple of them and put it where you know the water's going to pool. This way you know that it's going on, but not where it's going to flood. If it's going to flood, it'll drown out the unit and you'll never get to it. You want it where it seeps. So,
good point.
good point. Yeah, you don't want it like in a well in a lower area. You want it where it flows to get to that spot, and it flows across there to get to a lower spot. Hoping that you're home to hear it. Now, the ones you can buy at Home Depot, they run roughly like $20 a piece. So. Here, this is 5 for 20. This is a cheap price. This is cheaper than the ones you buy at Home Depot.
Wi-Fi ones have batteries in them too, I'm sure.
Yeah, and they probably go through batteries a lot quicker than the 9-volt
Yeah,
ones do.
because your Wi-Fi is constantly going.
All right, so that's what I bought on Prime. Works for me. It's going to work for me, I hope. I hope I got it for that price, at 53. You got to pay attention to Prime. It doesn't always apply the discounts and everything. So, especially on the Prime Day, make sure that it gives you the price that you agreed to at the checkout. Because I've had stuff on Prime Day where I go and click on it and put it in my box and come back 10 minutes later and it raised the price on me because you didn't buy it that moment, you know.
Oh,
So, anyways, anybody have any other last questions or comments? Things that they're buying, not buying? Okay. All right. Let's go to our subjects that I had sent out tonight. And Terry, the first thing you want to see is
how do you get the TV on the laptop? Yeah.
how to get TV on your PC is what it's asking you. Let me see. Wait, what am I doing? What did I just do?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just did something and I don't know what the hell I did.
It gives you
Undo.
5 choices from PC World.
No, I know.
What-
Some reason it did a paste instead of a copy.
What service provider do you have for your TV?
I use
Xfinity?
Uverse.
Oh, okay. So, if
Well,
you,
Uverse itself is not listed, but in general, that's your internet provider. A lot of the articles within the 5 have to do with your cable service company and other services you subscribe to. Additional money
for
out of your pocket.
for Uverse, I think it's a separate subscription to the AT&T stream, DirecTV stream.
Probably is.
You would have to get DirecTV, AT&T DirecTV, which is all online now. It's no longer the satellite.
Yeah, and if it allows for Hulu, Netflix, YouTube, 2 out of those 3 have live content, but you
Yeah.
pay extra.
And I'm going to put in a plug for TiVo's stream, which is another one
Yeah,
in
that's
that
not
category.
listed.
All right, so you can do this, like you gentlemen were saying, you could do this on DirecTV as well as Comcast, I believe, or Xfinity offers such a thing.
Comcast Xfinity has it included in your bundle.
yeah,
Right.
it does.
It's included in your bundle. All right. Now, if you don't have live streaming services a la carte options, so Bob, you said you can. You said Sling TV.
I didn't say Sling, but that is an option.
Yeah.
I use TiVo, which TiVo Stream is a device they sell
Okay.
with a subscription.
Okay.
Sling has 2 packages, orange and blue, or a
Right.
combo of the 2. And there's also Philo and Hulu Live and YouTube Live. Those are all options that cost you extra money out of your pocket.
Correct. It
And-
will all cost you a subscription base
Right.
to use this. All right. So we covered those. And then what else do we
The only
have?
other one there, it's I think number 4, is a card for a old style desktop unit that gives you a TV tuner, and you then connect to a inside or outside TV antenna for modern television, which is different from the old ones we used to have.
If I may, you can use the old style TV antennas too.
Sometimes.
As long as the one had a UHF receiver on there,
Yeah.
it will It will work. There's nothing really different between the old style TV antennas and the new style in terms of the signal that's approaching them. It's just whether or not they were configured to handle UHF, which is what broadcast TV is
Right.
on, is
But
UHF signal.
the only problem with that is most people got rid of those years and years ago.
Yes, they did.
So you almost have to go out and buy a new one.
Correct. But you can put in an old style TV antenna. You could still buy them at Menards and other places. They still have the big ones that you could put on your roof. Although I don't know why you want one with big, huge fins on it, because the big fins, the
Or
big
VHF.
are VHS. Correct. Thank you, Pete. And the smaller fins are the UHF signals. And
I'll tell you something about UHF. The low band of UHF that they still have today, you need rabbit ears in some locations.
yeah, you might need an antenna a little closer to your TV or something like that to help boost the signal.
It doesn't work with an ordinary UHF antenna for some of the low frequencies.
All right, so you can also, one of the things that was mentioned here is using an antenna, and then you can go and buy a device called an HD home run. This is what Sanford uses. I have 2 HD home runs incorporated in my house. So my signal comes in from an antenna that I have up in my attic that basically points east. It's west of downtown Chicago. And that goes through an amplifier. The amplifier then splits it to the HD home run devices. The HD home run then takes that and converts the antenna signal to my network and puts it right on my network. And I can run their free software on my tablet, on my PC, anywhere in my house, wired or wireless, and I can watch all the broadcast channels in 1080p anywhere in my house from my network, from my home network.
Oh,
So
but you have to have an antenna.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Remember, Jane, you remember the antennas?
I remember. That's why I'm asking.
Okay,
I would
so
want one.
well, then you can stick with cable TV.
Oh, okay.
All right. I mean, if you're okay with paying the hundreds of dollars a month for cable TV, go for it. Keep the cable companies happy. This is just the option that I have chosen. I've talked about this across the decades, if you will, of my implementation, but it works for me.
Okay.
And to make it even one step better, Sanford has a Windows 7 PC running Windows Media Center that specifically goes to those tuners and records anything I want. That's broadcast TV. So Chicago Fire is on, I could record it. Saturday Night Live's on, I can record it, and then I can watch them later.
Ah,
I using the old program called Windows Media Center. But
okay.
you got to remember, this is an unsafe environment that I'm using. Windows 7 is no longer supported, although it still gets antivirus updates. I was kind of surprised about that.
It's occasionally gets high-end security patches as well.
Correct. It does occasionally get those things too. And I don't use that device for anything else than what I specified. So I don't surf the web. I don't do anything on it but watch broadcast TV and recorded content on there. You could, instead of using the old Windows 7 thing, you can get Plex and install Plex on a machine. And it works also with that HD home run tuners. And there you have it.
Okay.
Yeah, a quick rundown. I think it was pretty good.
And then, of course, there are some all-in-one solutions that are already built for you. and include their own guide service, and you can pay a lifetime subscription. Mine is TiVo OTA, although there's also a cable version.
Right.
Currently, it's TiVo Edge, but when they get ATSC3, there will be a new TiVo.
Right. And what is it? Would you say S3?
ATSC3.
ATSC3
They
is
skipped
going
two.
to, it's going to be, which is in the works, it's almost ready, it's 4K. So
Yeah.
you'll be able to get free broadcast 4K TV.
And
Right.
there's additional interactive content associated with it as well.
Right.
Web-like content.
That is on the mainland and not on the islands.
So far.
So you don't have
It's
any
not going to be on
broadcast.
the islands. There's no fucking broadcast antennas here.
Yeah. ATSC3 can be done from satellite.
How'd they used to do it, Pete? Before they went digital, didn't they used to broadcast TV on the other islands?
You had one or two channels, and it was extremely local
Yeah.
because of the mountains.
Okay.
Because they can't, because of regulations, they can't put the antennas on top of the mountain.
Right.
That's native land.
Right.
All right.
And if you put them on the side of a mountain, you get so many, because of the high iron content of these rocks that we have, you can actually pick them up with magnets.
Huh.
You can mine iron by just taking a strong magnet and going along the soil and getting the fragments. But there's no coal here, so you can't make steel.
Okay. All right. So there's the problem there.
So there's a lot of reflectivity, which is why they've got cell towers every 2 miles.
Right. So Pete, you know that we all are very sad to hear that you live out there on that island and the problem you have with not getting, free TV. Oh, that really sucks.
You know what?
It's
I
70
write-
degrees, beautiful out there every day.
I write those things off as the paradise tax.
That's right.
That's, you just have to.
I get it. I get it.
The good thing about having iron in the mountains is when a hurricane comes by, it seems to dissipate it. The strong hurricane in the Pacific right now,
Yeah.
I look at it, it's supposed to arrive on Sunday. It's down to a lower tropical storm.
Huh.
So the islands, it's about every 10 years we get something strong enough to actually disrupt things other than rain.
Where are you, Pete?
On Maui.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that little place out west,
Okay.
I went as far west as a citizen can go and stay on Native American soil
Mhm.
without having to be on a military base.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
You got all the Aleutian Islands you could have gone to and practically been in Russia.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Not quite as nice of an environment as what Pete is in. Okay.
Picky me my temperature requirement.
That's temperature requirements. Okay.
Yes.
We're not going to have a lot of time to get through our topics tonight. So, also, can someone else give me something else on the list that they'd like us to go through? Please refer to my email that I sent out.
That requires reading.
I'm sorry?
That requires reading.
Yes, I know. James, what do you see? Any topics there? Do you have a copy of the email I sent out?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Okay. Double checking right there. Make sure that you're working on dinner or something. Okay.
I was going to tell you about the free TV, but I passed that now.
Okay. All right. So how about
how fast should the computer's CPU be?
okay? How to check the temperature? We don't care about temperature. Just stick your finger on it.
Yeah, if it burns, it's too
How
hot.
fast should my? That's a good question.
I think it's an odd question, but I thought I'd put the article out there anyhow.
Mhm.
What does the CPU do? Nothing. It just sits there and makes heat.
Consumes your electricity.
Yeah.
Okay. Turn off these pop boxes everywhere. Is a freaking pop-up box. All right. Is there anyone in this group that does not know what the CPU does? I can't see. Is anyone? I don't see everybody. No. Everybody knows what the CPU does. So that's the central processing unit. It's basically the brains of your computer. It's what makes it does what it's do. So you got CPU cores and clock speeds. Everyone knows what those things are, the number of cores. If anyone doesn't, please tell me, speak up. All right.
And you should also consider not just physical cores, but virtualized cores or hyperthreads.
Right. Meaning you should consider them, just know that they exist.
Right.
I will say that a lot of this information is reliant on what you're actually doing with your machine. What are you
Right.
doing? What are you using it for? And that will help lead you in the direction of how much processing power you need. For instance, if you're just doing web browsing and emails and
If you go down towards
Zoom,
the bottom, go down towards.
Zoom. Oh, so right over here.
Yeah, go down further. Right there. Whoop whoop. Right there.
Wait,
Not
where?
too far. Right there.
Okay.
Faster.
Okay. Gaming, of course. We're all big gamers here, right?
Yeah.
No,
Oh yeah.
no.
We're big gamers.
Yeah, we
I mean,
spend 10 grand on our machines.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. In Tim's wildest dreams, he would love to spend 10 grand on a machine. But
Yes.
if you're gaming, obviously, then you need to push the limits, and you need a very fast, cutting edge machine. But since that does not apply to this group, anyone want to give advice? They really don't tell you here which processor to go with. Do they? Do they say here?
No,
Answer?
not that explicit.
Really, they don't tell you much other
I
than
mean,
telling.
the paragraph right above that heading says, if you're keen to enjoy the latest game releases on your computer, it's worth investing in a 3.5 gigahertz or 4 gigahertz CPU. Hell, that's gone up to 5 or 6 gigs. 8 gig of RAM, and a GPU with at least 6 gigs of VRAM on board or higher to avoid bottlenecks and overheating. But that depends on what your game is, because there are
Right.
some games here that require anywhere between 12 and 16 gigs on the video card alone. And you might need in RAM up to 32 gigs or better.
So this article really, other than talking about gaming and what you need for it, is not going to help the average user decide what kind of processor they're going to need. And so I'm going to close that window out. I'm going to close this window out.
Stanford,
Yes.
got a question. Have they optimized the applications to use multi-threaded processing?
That is an important question that you need to know about when it comes down to isolating or knowing what programs you use relates to how optimized it is to whether you need a super duper processor or one that has less number of cores and threads.
So if I have 5 cores and I've got 10 applications running,
Okay.
are they distributed amongst the cores so that they're each individually running on a core?
Pete, you can measure this in real time. Just get yourself a utility that monitors and graphically displays either on your taskbar or on your desktop in a widget, and it just displays all your cores and hyperthreads.
Right.
If I were in Linux, I could tell you 2 or 3 of them, but in Windows, I'm not as familiar with it.
And the key there is how old is the software? The newer the software, and if it's from a major software developer, the greater the likelihood is they know how to distribute the workload across the cores you have. However, older software and from smaller developers, it may only act as the primary CPU core to run that application, even today.
Yep. Even today, a lot of software, I don't want to say most, but a lot of software that's out there is not written to take advantage of hyperthreading and multiple cores.
Right.
They let the operating system handle it and they just trudge through it.
So
And
does-
thus it may not be optimized to work.
So does that mean most
Wait, Steve?
your web-based applications are distributed or not? Or are
Nope.
they all going to the primary core?
The web will go through your browser. Your browser is likely to be up to date, and your operating system is likely to be up to date. Again, you can measure this with certain utilities, and what I have measured is, yes, I do get activity on the different hyperthreads, but it tends to be alternating hyperthreads, either odd or even, and those get the most use. The other ones seem to be used only for overflow operations.
What utility are you referring to that's available in Windows?
That's the problem. I use Linux, so I know what's available in Linux. I'm not as familiar with the free utilities for Windows that show CPU usage.
I know that you can use Performance Meter that's built into Windows, and that will illustrate your cores and tell you the amount of activity on the individual cores.
Right.
That may help you, and it's built into Windows. So if you just go to Start Bar and just type in Performance and open up the resource meter, go to CPU, and that will tell you what you need to know.
Yeah,
that will help.
That's part of task management.
Right. In terms of the software that I know that I use that is, I believe, is hyper-threaded and multi-core would be the Adobe products. In general, I found that those do use multiple cores. Specifically, if I'm doing like Adobe Premiere, where I'm doing any rendering of a video or something, those should use multiple cores, but not all the time. So your mileage may vary.
I know Autodesk relies on the video memory a lot.
Right. Okay. AutoCAD, I think, is a multi-core program.
Yeah, you're talking in most cases major developers, Microsoft, Adobe, AutoCAD, and all a bunch of other mainline and especially the gamers software, the high-end stuff. Those will do a pretty decent job of multi-core, multi-threading. But when you start getting into the lesser-known developers, especially fly-by-night developers, it's a crapshoot. Some of it still just recognizes your primary core and nothing else.
Right, and because they're not written, the developer actually has to write the code to have it call up a specific thread or core,
Yes.
or to one that's available and look at them. There's code writing involved here that most developers don't bother to do. not worth it for them. There's
Right.
no reason for it.
Right.
But if you have a, like Pete, you're referring to software that is very intensive. It could be, dealing with a 3D printer or AutoCAD or something like that, design. Those things do need some dedicated processors to do what it's got to do, right?
Yeah,
Okay. What do you think is more? What do you think is the more CPU intensive software that you run to operate a machine?
I think my Autodesk Fusion is probably the most intensive
Okay.
because that's the one that actually designs and then actually converts it to the tool paths.
Now, does the CNC machines, does that a single core, multi-core? The CNC.
The CNC itself is an old Windows 7. And it's
There you
so, no, I think we have to got it to 10, but it's old school. It's got a pretty decent graphics card, but it doesn't need it because it's basically taking the G code I created in Fusion on the machine I'm looking at right now.
Okay, but how many cores is that running on?
Probably no more than
Mine?
2.
Mine is, I think, an 8-core.
Wow.
Is that no? But that CNC, is that on a Pentium base?
No, it may be a 4-core,
Maybe a quad core. Okay.
maybe a quad core. It's got like 16 gig of RAM on it, so we
Okay.
upgraded that because it's running an older graphics program that it came with to actually do some sign work. But I typically don't use that. I like the Fusion myself.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? So if you were buying a computer today, what would be the minimum someone should tell you to go get in terms of processor?
What are you doing?
Yeah,
Huh. What are you doing?
that's right.
I'm saying minimum. That
If you're
somebody.
browsing the web, get a tablet and put a big monitor on it.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
not only that, but I mean, these days, even several generations back on an Intel or early AMD processors, not the latest, greatest versions, they have so much horsepower that even a Core i3 processor running around 2.8 gigahertz or better with at least 8 gigs of memory and just a graphics GPU that's on the motherboard will get most people through what they want if they're a light user. If you're a little heavier user, you go with something like an i5. If you're a heavier user, you go i7. In AMD, you're talking like Ryzen 3, Ryzen 5, Ryzen 7. But I've got one AMD currently running second gen, and there's no extra card. It's using the built-in GPU, and it runs Windows 10 faster than many of the Intel systems that are around the equivalent. But I will say this, it all depends on what you are doing. Are you a power user? Power user is what it sounds like Pete's doing. Lots and lots of programs. Some CPAs, I don't know about Bert, but when they were working in some businesses, they're using lots of different pieces of software, many spreadsheets open. That's a power user. And you got to have more memory, more CPU capability, as fast a storage as you can afford to get the job done in a satisfactory situation for what you're trying to get done. Otherwise, you start slowing down, bogging down, and when you've got that, that means you're probably overpowering what you bought. And that's one of the problems that most people have. They look at the price tag and go with that and pray that they're not going to overtax it.
If you're rendering or editing video or using a spreadsheet with more than 5 tabs open that refer to each other, you need to up the hardware.
Oh yeah.
If you're browsing and writing a letter on an email,
Yeah, you can get away with like a Core i3 or a Ryzen 3 processor and 4 to 8 gigs of memory for something like that. And there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people out there. I'll tell you right now, they do one thing at a time, like old MS-DOS did, versus having multiple programs and tabs and browsers open, jumping around from tab to tabnet, trying to collect information for one reason or another, and maybe create copy that and paste it into a document. So it depends on, everything depends totally on what you do on a computer now and what you think you might be doing the next couple years at least. Because otherwise, you're going to buy a pick and a poke. You're going to be probably very disappointed with what you bought. And you'll blame anybody and everybody but the person who did the purchase. And that's the person in the mirror.
Yeah. So we ran out of Moore's Law speed increments about 4 years ago. We can't make the space in the chips any smaller to put more transistors on the chips. So what they're doing is they're busting up and giving more processors, more cores on the unit to make up for speed. And so that's how they're doing it. But you got to have the memory, the buffer memory, close to the processor to be able to do that.
Right. Memory speed has always been an issue. Going back to the DDR1 memory forward. If you use the standard memory, you get a certain level of processing capability. You get one upgrade in speed of the memory, it's still running at the same bus speed, but the chip's circuitry works faster, and you can gain up to 10% improvement in your overall performance. And it all depends upon you, the individual. Some people can detect lower levels of performance increase percentage. Other people have to have 20% improvement in speed, or they don't notice it. And you got to constantly maintain your system to get rid of the garbage that helps slow down your system. And it takes less than 6 months to really drag your system down from what it was when you bought it brand new.
What is that, Sanford?
This is a whatchamacallit. Let me turn off my back. Well, okay, you can see it.
Barely.
This is actually, let me turn off my background. Sorry. Not that. Darn it. Do this. And virtual background.
Look like a doggy bowl.
None. There you go. Okay. This is for my trailer, camper trailer. The main wheel sits in here. That goes in the front underneath the tongue. There's a wheel that you'd have around to wheel it around.
Yeah.
And so it'll sit in here to prevent the camper from moving around.
Huh.
That's a very simple little platform. Very handy when you're at a place where they have gravel, like pea gravel or very loose gravel, and the wheels like to move around. So that and my 8 gig memory card that I needed for a machine. Came today, same day delivery. Gotta like that.
I can't ever get that.
Probably came
Immediate
out of Joliet.
satisfaction.
Probably came out of the Joliet warehouse.
That or there's a warehouse that's maybe 3 miles away from here.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a warehouse not far from here. I actually, when they opened it, I applied for a job there and then thought twice about it when I heard about people getting hurt and stuff like that. I was like, I don't know. And then COVID came along, and I'm glad I wasn't there. But yep, that was Amazon came already. I ordered that today. They came today. There's also a distribution warehouse in Lisle. I know that one exists. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of Amazon warehouses around. We don't know about all of them. They're everywhere. Okay, we need to find out, is there any other topics that I had here that people would like to talk about? Oh, I know there was one that I had that I wanted to bring up. This one. Nope, not that one.
yeah.
Not that one. It's a different one I wanted. And that's this one. Okay, I mentioned this one, and I will share this screen. Okay, how to scan a document from your iPhone. For those that have an iPhone, you can actually use it as a document scanner. So if someone says they're going to send you something, they need you to sign it, and they need you to scan it and send it back to them, this is a way you can do it if you have an iPhone. Then this article I thought was very good. My wife actually discovered this one. So you need to pull up the notes feature on your iPhone. And there is an option on the notes feature to scan a document. And you can even sign it virtually on that document too. You can put a little signature right on there using this. So this is a real simple tutorial on what to do. And then you could turn around, you could send it right back to somebody. So you use the notes feature. It's real simple, real easy to do. Didn't know this one. For those of us that have, actually all of us, we all have phones with cameras on them. And something else my wife discovered is, now this is not a camera, this is just a notebook here. But the camera is generally at the top, and when we go to take pictures of people, we keep the camera in the top and, point it at them and take a picture. But if you want to get more of the sky, like you see in my background here, if you want to get more of the sky, turn the camera upside down. Put the lens on the bottom. Move a little lower and then tilt it a little higher, and you'll get a picture of the person's torso, head, and a beautiful panoramic of the sky. Great tip. Unbelievable. I've tried this and I'm just like amazed at how much better of a picture you get just by turning that camera upside down and putting the lens on the bottom. Another thing you could do is, I know on the iPhones, I'm sure Android has the same thing, is you could do a panoramic shot. That is where you take the camera and you turn and shoot, and it'll make big, wide panoramic shot for you. But you can also do the same thing. Again, turn it upside down with the lens down here in the bottom and take your shots and go shoot up. So if you're in, let's say, a rotunda of the Capitol, and you're not doing anything illegal, you didn't cross the barriers, but you want to get a picture of the person on the ceiling, use that technique and you'll stitch it all together and you'll get a beautiful picture of the ceiling along with your subject matter. 2 little tips that I just learned. My wife's got these all on, Twitter, I think is where she's getting them, or Instagram, they're coming out. Lots of cool tips on Instagram on doing photography with your phone. So. James, you going to use that one?
I sure am.
Yeah, there you go. But honestly, remember that when you're taking a picture of somebody, turn that camera upside down. I did it the first time just the other day, and I was just like, duh, where the heck has this been? Because my pictures have always been boring, and I want to capture more of, let's say, sky. Or there's a tree, they're standing next to a tree, and you cut off the tree. And you're like, I don't care about their feet. You want the tree to be in the picture. Turn it upside down. It's unbelievable how well this works. So
then Sanford, you just put it over the picture. It's not like a scanner where you wave it or nothing like that. A lot of scanners, they kind of wave down or whatever. But you just put it right over the whole picture or whatever.
You're saying to use your phone as a document scanner?
Yeah.
Okay. You saw the link that we went to, right?
You put it.
You stand over the document and you have your phone and you take a picture of it.
Okay. The whole document. Okay.
The whole document in. Now, granted, if it's a long document, I guess you use the notes feature, and then I guess you could scan it, take multiple pictures and stitch them together. I guess you could do it like that if you got a 8.5 by 14 or something that was too big to go, not an 8.5 by 11, but basically you take the camera and you point it towards the document will be sit down on your table. You take a picture of it using the notes application that's part of iPhone, and you tell it in there that you're doing a document.
Yeah, because some scanners kind of roll down or whatever. But
we're not talking.
Yeah, you're taking a picture here. Yeah. I got you.
You're using the notes feature on the iPhone, which will convert it to a PDF, I believe.
Wow.
Okay, and there is where you can edit it and you can do things with it that way.
Very good.
Okay, it's not a scanner per se, but it lets you scan a document.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
But that's only on the iPhone. It's not on Android. I don't know if Android has that capabilities. Somebody else can look it up and see.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so unless it's recent.
Right. Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Any other last things people would like us to go over? Oh, okay. Then I will call this meeting adjourned and say to everybody, have a good rest of July.
Yeah.
We'll see you all next month. Or we'll see you at, wait, Terry, do you want to give an ad?
Yeah.
I'm going to, I have to make up those 2 sheets, the one announcing the meeting and with the link. So I'll work on that and we'll go for August. Yeah.
Wait,
I don't have
you're not doing your meeting?
the 2 sheets ready for the